How's it going, Plains people? Welcome to the Plains People podcast for December 23rd or 24th, whenever we get this out. My name is Mark Aviglio. I talk to people from the Fargo-Moorhead area about, themselves, their lives, about the area, whatever they're doing. We're talking to an artist today named Laura Forgie. She's a super cool visual artist. She's been doing, I've known her for a couple years. She had a studio down in Seagrave Studios when I did. And yeah, I think this is the second artist from Seagrave I've talked to. First one was Spencer Kelly. There you go, plug, go back and watch it. This conversation definitely has a different tone than my other ones do, but it's kind of like low-key one of my favorite ones. It's not, super energetic, but it definitely gets down into some really cool stuff. We talk a lot about art, passion, what she does paintings about, and death, mortality. That's also what I do paintings about. So it was a really cool talk. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm going to share it with you guys. So here you guys go. Without any further ado, my talk with Laura on Plains People Podcast. More before we get going, if you want. How are you doing?
Good.
Good day today?
I went to BioLife and that was about it.
Oh yeah? A day off? Completely?
Yeah. Tomorrow I run a cleaning business on the side, so.
Oh yeah?
It's been helping to pay the bills.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So is that all you're doing right now? Is just those things?
Yeah, and then art.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of gives me a little more time to focus on that.
Well, yeah, I wish I had. I don't even know how many times I've paid rent down there without even
I was going to ask if you're still down there.
Yeah, I am. There's ups and downs.
Yeah.
I missed a huge heating scandal. Apparently,
terrible.
They didn't have any heat down there. I don't know. I don't like going down there in winter anyways because everyone who smokes likes to leave the fucking door open.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you not notice that when you guys walk towards the door, I'm not wearing a jacket, and then when you guys walk back in, I'm not wearing a jacket?
Yeah, especially when you stand back in that corner where it's right by the door.
Where I was painting.
Yeah.
Okay, so headphones in if you want. It's gonna.
Is it better? Oh, here's mine.
It's gonna show you what we hear. So, and then we're gonna see how loud. If he's recording already, he's gonna know if. So if you talk right now, we want to be around the same. That's why the microphone's closer to you, because I know I'm way louder than you are.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Say anything. Is she good?
Am I good?
Talk at me through the microphone. Yeah.
I want to talk to the person that I'm...
No, screw that.
Yeah. Check.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Then we can pretty much jump right in. Oh my God, where the fuck's my pocket? All right, you know what? Keys go here. All right. Jesus. Now I'm worked up. All right, I'm going both ears in. So how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
And we just said that, but yeah, BioLife, and that's nice.
Yeah.
I just did another interview, so I'm already loosened. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, let's get another one done. So we just talked to another person, but yeah, that went good. I don't think he hated it.
That's good.
So, I haven't no one's ever left angry yet, so I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah. No, it seems good.
Yeah. Let's get you to. Ooh, wow. This is my first beer. Second, actually.
The Axeman.
Yeah, I just built on myself, so it looks like I've had 80, but it was more full than I thought. Let's get you to use a different sentence now. Where'd you grow up?
Iowa.
Iowa.
Eastern Iowa. It's not too different from here, I guess. It's a little warmer.
Yeah.
But
people about the same?
Yeah. Mostly Caucasian,
Yeah.
Typical Midwest.
No one's, it's not. Iowa's more, was that the Bible Belt? Isn't that like Iowa?
Kinda. It's more a little more south.
Yeah.
So
It's the Bible Belt is? Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always think right south of here is you already get into people with southern accents and but that's not quite yet. No, not in Iowa. I think I went there growing up. I want to say my mom's family's from Iowa. I don't know where or anything about them, but I know about them, but not about my extended family. I think I have my grandparents' family are still down there, but we went down there when we were 14 to meet people. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Yeah, it was. And we went fishing in a river.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Somebody owned a gas station that had a diner attached to it, and it was like a locally owned one, and we just hung out in the back of that for like a day.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a memory that's somewhere in there. I don't remember names or anything. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Is that just Iowa, pretty much?
Yeah, it sounds about like it. Yeah. I didn't do a whole lot of fishing, but that's not my
Yeah.
thing.
So, what'd you do growing up? So, I know you're an artist now. Was that always a thing, like, growing up? Were you immediately flocking towards that in school and high school and stuff?
Yeah, I was always a little more creative, wanting to do creative things, and then my family just kind of pushed me more towards it because it helped, like, settle me down and focus me a little more.
Yeah. Why, were you like a wild kid?
Yeah, I was crazy. I don't know, tantrums. I was,
Nice.
the redhead, so.
Yeah, you do scare me now.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that it scared them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that the people who only listen to this in audio who have never met you, it's like, she seems so quiet. What do you mean scary?
I've settled down a lot.
Yeah.
A little more mature.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I like to say, like, I know I have, but people who don't know my older self are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But no, it's like, trust me, this is an improvement.
Yeah.
I even think since I've met you, I've actually calmed a little bit.
I think, since you got married, maybe even.
Yeah, that's
what happens.
Yeah, totally. It's what happens. I mean, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I really like my life now. I got 2 cats, the wife, you know. We get
Only 2? I feel like I've seen like 3.
2 cats. If you saw, I had a kitten we watched for like a weekend. We just took like enough pictures for a year with him because he was this little teeny black cat that was super cute. He was a runt, so he was old enough to give away, but he didn't look like he was, so he was super like still kittenish.
Yeah,
that was pretty cute. But yeah, just the 2, Capone and Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
She named Teddy before I met her, but we had Teddy and Frankie for a small part, and it was Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt, but the Frankie was a cat, or was a girl, I mean.
Oh.
So there was Frankie the girl and Teddy, and then I decided I needed to do a historical figure too, so I went with Al Capone, which was a good thing because he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sassy.
He's a
sassy.
Sassy cat. Did you meet my cats?
No, I just Snapchat, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, are we friends on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Shit, man. Fuck, what's up? I guess you see a lot of my cats. I take mostly pictures of my cats on Snapchat.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were friends on Snapchat.
We are.
Yeah, wait, I do know because I'll see. Well, we might get to this later, but I could do it now. You got a plastic head a couple months ago.
Yeah, my what's her name, Chloe?
Chloe,
yeah, Chloe.
And it was like a mannequin head.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a week where I thought that I had to ask if you were okay, because on Snapchat it was like, yeah, me and Chloe are doing this, and we're doing this, and it's like,
she's my best friend.
You fine?
Yeah.
Do we need to have a talk about inanimate objects? Or?
She's got great hair. She has 3 different colors.
Yeah, I did notice.
I can style it any way I want.
Yeah, and she never complains when you guys want to do stuff.
Perfect. She's a perfect woman.
Perfect roommate.
Yeah.
She doesn't pay half the bills, though, does she?
No.
I know some people have that deal where their girlfriends don't have to pay anything and they pay the whole, or their boyfriends, I guess. I'm not gonna do that, but Chloe's one of those.
Yep, definitely. She's a kept woman.
But I think she's pretty low maintenance.
Yeah.
At least. So there's that. Yeah. We're talking about a mannequin head. This is pretty great.
Yep. I've got a torso somewhere else that doesn't belong to her, and a hand. I recently got a hand.
Yeah. Are you trying to build her like a weird science?
No, I've got them in different rooms. I've got different parts in different rooms.
Are they different? Like they're not all Chloe's parts.
No,
they're
it's
different
not,
parts.
Yeah, they don't belong to Chloe.
Yeah. So it's like Frank's hand and Jesse's torso and Chloe's head.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That sounds like somebody else has had that same thing, but it was alive humans and he was a serial killer.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're at least you're not a serial killer.
At least.
Yeah. At
least.
You know. The very least.
Yeah.
This would be a great place to do it because the Red River is a great place to get rid of a body.
Yeah.
I always think. Mm-hmm. I've that thought at work. There's one thing. If you work in a factory for 12 hours, you get your brain has to go weird places, and you're just not really doing anything because you know your job. So just a little bit of your brain's running this entire factory, and you're just sitting and bullshitting. And next thing you know, at 5 a.m., we're all arguing where the best place to ditch a body would be. And then whoever gets the best one, we realize he's terrifying. Like, holy shit, you've really thought about this.
You win.
Maybe we shouldn't invite Steve out anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God. But there's this, apparently at the back of Crystal Sugar, there are these big mud ponds. And I knew about the mud ponds. I didn't know about this. But
they're like thick mud, and then like it settles in solid state at the bottom, and water kind of goes into a different pond. Anyways, they clean it out every 10 years.
Oh.
So if you ditch a body into it, you got 10 years at the bottom of a mud pond with just every type of bacteria you could ever think of. They're probably not going to be recognizable when they clear it out.
No, I don't even know if the bones might survive.
The bones probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
in
know
the
this because
tissue-
we Googled it, and
Yeah.
we wanted to see if a body would survive it.
Wow.
Yeah, we called somebody like, hey, what bacteria's in the mud ponds? And then we wrote it down and looked up like, how big are these? So anyways,
Yeah.
if you need
You
Need a
know,
hand.
you know the spots. I'll
Yeah.
contact
Let
you.
me know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to wear a hard hat and pretend to work there for a day and just what's this? Don't worry about it, guys. It's a big old thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is so far my favorite podcast I've ever done.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's energy change. I have to slow down and get to your calm level. The last guy we're pretty worked up.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So I was they kind of pushed you to art right away. What was your mediums when you were a kid? Were you just going to art school and just enjoying it, or just like I'm trying to? I guess I'm wondering if you were more on like, hey, look how good I am at drawing, or more at I want to express myself in any way possible.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be closer to me. Yeah.
I mean, they just kind of gave me whatever, markers, coloring books, like little polymer clay. I used to make little critters. I had a whole
cool.
farm that I made.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did games. I would draw like I eventually made up my own characters, but it would be like, hey, I'm gonna draw like bad guys from horror movies and then come up with stats in the back and then have them fight each other. So it'd be like really bad drawings of like Jason Voorhees,
yeah.
and then a really bad drawing of Michael Myers, and they would have stats in the back and you could fight. No one ever played the game with me though.
No.
But I went for like 5 years of like in between like whatever 6 and 12, and then I was like, wait, maybe not. Maybe I should stop doing this. Maybe I'm getting too old. But but yeah, that was my thing of like creating games with my drawings, but trying to draw kind of. I mean, it didn't look anything like the
No, it never does.
characters I was drawing. I don't even think I cared about color.
No.
It was like, oh, the Jason mask, and he's wearing like anything. He's like a Nirvana shirt. Yeah, it's Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like worrying about continuity was not in my head.
Yeah. It's your thing, so you can do it however you want. That's
Yeah.
the fun thing about make believe, I guess.
Yeah, and that
Being
was
a kid.
and that was the thing I thought of. You know, the two different artists. I always look at the id to the ego of the people who are really good drawers, who have all the technical skills but not 100% the creativity, and then the people who they got to really work on the technical skills,
Yeah.
but they're just fuming of ideas.
Yeah.
And especially. If you art school or anything else, you really do see the difference, and the people who start taking more design classes, like, oh, maybe you guys are a lot more of the technical guys, and the people who but I do like seeing that at younger. Of I was constantly wanting to make weird games and had this huge imagination that went just constant, always in a circle.
Yeah.
But okay, and then where'd you went right after Iowa? If you got nothing fun happened in childhood, no, nothing.
No, I mean, I went to University of Northern Iowa for college, got my BFA, and then
Nice.
I worked at an airport after college, just because it was a paycheck. You
Yeah,
know, and I knew
it's a
I
good
had
job.
loans coming in, and it was decent. It was like hard labor, like fueling airplanes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That actually sounds interesting.
I was out there on the tarmac.
At least the first couple days, I bet it was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, the first couple months it was kind of exciting, and I was meeting different people and
Yeah.
learning different things. But then after a while, it was like, this is, especially winter was real rough.
Oh, I bet. Well, I'm
Yeah.
assuming their winter's a lot like our winter.
Yeah, and it's out by the airport, so it's
So it's windy.
It's always windy.
Open, yeah.
yeah, it's always windy. So it was pretty similar to here. But yeah, and then I got kind of sick of that, and I went out to New York City. I lived out there for a couple months, and just
Okay.
kind of
I want to head back to,
yeah.
You went to University of where? What did you say?
Northern Iowa.
So that was just like a state school,
Yeah,
kind of? All right. What was their art program was pretty good, though?
I liked it. I mean,
Was it, did you do generals and everything and then
Oh,
major
yeah.
in art towards the end? Yeah, the school I went to was in, outside Seattle, but it was 100% an art school. They get a BFA, but it was 3 years. We had generals, but they weren't generals. Like, we did have normal non-studio classes, but it was like mostly psych classes, mostly philosophy classes. We finally got a math class in like junior year, so it was like everything was pointed towards art, was catering
nice.
that, yeah. But you also didn't get to pick your classes at all. It was like, there was 3 majors and you picked 2.
Ooh.
And then, so that means that there was like, I didn't pick design, I'm a designer. So I chose fine art and multimedia, and I didn't care about multimedia. I pretty much just went there for fine art, so I had to like learn how to code, and also at the same time, so it was like half my classes I was like, oh, sweet, but then my other classes I was enjoying it. But yeah, so what was college like? Did you?
It was pretty generic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I started out with emphasis in photography.
Okay.
So, and it's definitely a little more technical, and the professor at the time, I don't know if he's probably still there, but he was focused more on darkroom photography, not digital.
Yeah, film. Yeah. We had a film class.
He hated digital.
Yeah.
He condemned it almost. But, I mean, it was really valuable to go into and do film, like I'm
Yeah.
glad that I did.
Well, and there's still, I feel, there's definitely still people who are fine photographers who still definitely work in film.
It's a thing.
We had a dark room and at Seagrave, so I think Austin used it a little bit.
Like
and
once.
Yeah, that's probably it. And I always made me wonder about the chemicals in there. It's like, do we do anything with those? Like, because you walk in there and it's all set up.
Yeah.
Like, you could just jump in and use it, but I'm like, I wonder if these are okay.
I think somebody's been in and cleaned it out, and then there was another person that was in there, so every once in a while they get it.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I don't know what's going on with that room now. I haven't stepped in there for like years since you were in there. I mean, since you were in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah,
jeez. I just remember bringing people like, oh, never seen an art studio before? Check out the dark room. Isn't this weird? It's like for movies.
Yeah.
Like, that was all I ever used it for. Okay, so you started with a emphasis in photography. So it would still be a BFA with photography, but you just kind of like, so BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, no matter what you ended up doing. But what, so that's when you got introduced to different mediums, I'm assuming, and different mediums started to grab you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I did photography for quite a while, and then at the same time I had to do these core classes, the generic ones, and so we had to sample like 2D and 3D, and then I eventually was like, I want to do sculpture. So, and I was doing ceramics at the same time, doing hand building, and so started playing with plywood and like just gluing plywood together and then sanding it down into like these weird shapes, and I was playing with rubber molding.
So pretty much besides photography, which is very on the other side, but your sculpture and everything was always more abstract, was less form and structure. Yeah. So at least I don't know what the real definition between abstract or expressionism or anything, but I always go with expressionism is weird, but it's still, you can tell what it is. It's still form and structure, and then abstract is, they're just shapes. If you can make something out, it stops being abstract, and that's how I always go with it. So you kind of always went with that more of, as you're saying, shapes, or in your sculpture of a lot more abstract. And then where did it go from there? I know where you ended up, so I want to know it seems like there's a bit of an artistic gap still, photography to sculpture.
I got kind of sick of all the rules, and I was kind of fed up.
I hate rules. Yeah.
Especially with like an institution, you're always like, you need to be here at this time and be an adult and to do this specific test and write out the words and know what to do. I don't know. But yeah, shapes and more fluidity was more my thing. And, and so I was just kind of playing around with all sorts of things, and then I somehow started doing transfers, inkjet transfers.
Yeah.
And
we had a class of that, and I only knew a couple people who actually got into it. So when I saw that you were doing them, I remember there was 2 different ways. You did the inkjet transfer, which definitely is a lot more of a process to it. We were doing one that was like you do like a toner printer, and then you hit it with like you put the paper down on whatever you're transferring it to, and then you hit it with a like nail polish remover, and it knocks the ink out, the toner out right onto the other sheet and sticks to it. Yeah. And we're doing that. That was a lot more simple, and it definitely, I don't think you could do anything really grandiose, but the picture was a lot clearer, and you didn't have to wipe the paper away, so it was a lot simpler. So I remember making like a big pie that had a bunch of generic things in it, like just like a random white dude, and then just like random stuff, and I called it generic pie. Anyways, I got an A.
Well, that's what matters.
So there's that. So so what's the process of these inkjet transfers?
They started out doing them onto plexiglass, because it was just something really translucent, transparent. And
I didn't even know you could do that on.
Yeah, I mean you can transfer onto basically anything. It's not as easy. It was definitely a challenge to do plexiglass because it kept a lot of times the glue wouldn't stay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can transfer onto wood.
All right. For if anyone actually listening, for the people who are listening who don't know what inkjet transfers, so this is my very basic. I learned it once in whatever week of school. So correct me where I'm wrong. So you'll print out the image that you want onto multiple sheets of paper, and then you set them, and then you take mesh. I think is what you use, or whatever that.
Most people will use like wood.
Okay.
Like if you go on Pinterest and look up inkjet transfer, you're gonna find like a piece of wood. They take some Mod Podge.
Okay.
They put it on the wood, then they lay their image down and they burnish it. They press it down.
Okay. And then they pretty much you like wash the original paper and you like get it wet so you can, and then you like scrape the paper away.
Yeah, you let it dry overnight and then you come back and you wet the paper and you scrape the backing of the paper basically, and then.
So you're taking the ink that was from whatever the image you printed out right onto whatever you're putting it on.
Yeah. So you look with the reverse.
Yeah. It's a mirror image.
That's more better visual for people.
Yeah. So you would have to. So if you're creating this on before you print out, if you're creating the image on whatever on computer, you would have to then take that and flip it horizontally to make it the backwards image.
If you have any text,
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So what about that drew your attention to it? I mean, I'm assuming it was probably a lot like what was going on with us, as you guys were just learning all these different mediums at once, because that's like freshman and sophomore year is just pushing all these different ways you could create at us.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just move through them. I bet you tried 50 things like I did, and nothing stuck. So what stuck with that one for you?
I was able to I was creating my own images for the inkjet transfer, so I was able to go into Photoshop and use my own photography.
Okay.
And then at the same time, like I was stealing other things that I found to make a collage, because I'm always big on collages.
Yeah.
It's abstract, so. And I can kind of say whatever I want with that and build my own image map. Or
well, and then it's also tying in, as you said, you already had a passion for the photography, so that brings that in.
It's still
there.
I still use photography all the time, just in different ways.
Okay, so we're definitely going to get the themes of your art, because it's my favorite thing about your art, because it's abstract. Of course, it's whatever it makes me feel, but you definitely play with certain things, and I'm going to let you tell me what they are. I have an idea, but were those always there when you were creating in college or even before? Did you play with a lot of those darker images that you kind of play with now, or darker themes?
Yeah, I was definitely more gravitated towards death, and I still collect bones, and because I'd find dead things and I'd take pictures of them. And that's how I'd incorporate the photography of these dead things, and then so I still have all that, but I've kind of changed my themes lately.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, we're getting to that.
Okay.
So a little behind the curtain. I want to get about I want to get about an hour of getting to know you before I get to what you're doing now, as usual. What we always do. So I want to get to about the hour point before we talk about what you're doing now, because I love what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And I would love to get to it.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can freely say some horrible things I love about your art. Horrible for me. All right, I'll wait to say the sentence. I got it. This is an amazing sentence I've been wanting to say for you for like 2 weeks. Okay, so those themes are already there of your death and
definitely.
Yeah. When you were, or even when you were doing photography before you moved on to the inkjet transfer, were you already like taking pictures of dead things or things that remind you of death?
Sometimes. A lot of times I would just go out into a park and just start taking pictures of things. And so, death's always there.
Yeah,
If you're out in nature, it's always going to be there if you look, if you see.
There'd be a dead squirrel or a dead crow.
Yeah.
God, I can't even remember what it was. So this had to have been, right when I first met you, right when you came down to Seagrave. But there was a dead crow somewhere, and somebody was, tagged you on it, Laura, get to this, and you're like, where?
People still all the time are like, here's a dead bird, or they'll tell me, give me a hint, there's a skeleton over in this alley. Yeah. Sometimes they make it out there, sometimes they don't,
Yeah.
There's just so much.
Well, and also, it's always if you're needing it for a piece, things. As you know, I like to paint on wood and really, so when a lot of people are like, hey, I'm tussing away a door, sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
Because I already got a couple pieces, or I'm not working a lot right now, so no. And other times I'm like, sweet, let's do it. I'm gonna saw it in half and do 2 pieces with it. Like,
Yeah, I definitely have a collection. I have like folders of images, just different collections of like death and life, and I kind of just make a general statement of like images so I can pull from it when I need it.
Yeah. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what brought you to that theme of death? Is it just like, I always play with mortality, is my, of not straight of death, of how easy we are to die, or struggling with coming to terms with death. So death is always there, but I like to look at, the end part of the act of dying more than just being dead. I guess I like to...
Yeah, yours is a little more graphic and a little more violent.
Yeah, I love
mine's already dead.
Yeah, yours is already dead. I'm definitely dying. I like, that's why I like to say mortality more than death, but of coming to terms with death, because it's something that everybody has to do and most people don't do. Or maybe no one does, or maybe everybody does. Who knows? It's something. It's an internal struggle that everybody has. So, are you fascinated with death, of kind of that aspect of this unavoidable thing we all have to deal with, or is it more of like a morbid curiosity of dead things?
Yeah, it's kind of both.
Okay.
To be honest. And yeah, because there's this beautiful gruesomeness in like a dead bird, like this quietness there, but. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot where I was going with that.
So you're going closer to the morbid curiosity
Yeah.
of the beauty of like a dead animal, like of. God, that sounds so great when you say it out loud.
I know. Well, and then there's also this idea of like rebirth.
Yeah.
Like there's some life that comes from it, like all the insects that.
Yes.
Take the nutrients back. And
or the grass is now going to be greener that the dead bird died on. Yeah. There's something beautiful in that. I mean, there definitely is, unless it's on concrete, and there's not so much. But
yeah, and then there's like this urban, kind of capitalist almost idea, like we're killing the earth right now. So then it also sends messages of like.
Yeah, almost like a dead animal sitting on a concrete, of like, hey, look what you guys did.
Yeah.
Like it's almost it almost goes like a weird protest of reminding us of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Definitely like the idea of industrialism in my work, and the human impact.
Yeah. Okay. No, and I love that. I mean, I'm like I'm a fat white male, so I mean, like I'm definitely the problem. But
I mean, we all are.
Yeah. But I remember it was a lot. When I was in college, I was almost angry at humans on that. I remember there was an anthropology class, like, just opened my eyes in all the worst ways, and the teachers sucked, like, totally. But what we read, Margaret Mead and other stuff, and really looking at nature and our impact that we had on this world and what the world looked like before we what were I looking for? Domesticated plants and animals, and really moved on past the Renaissance. I remember just like looking out in this town I lived in and seeing grass that humans planted, trees that, like a couple trees, and I remember just thinking like, oh, it's so fucking pretentious that you destroy this land, and then you're like, hey, look, I planted grass and a tree. It's like, fuck you.
Some invasive species of some kind.
Yeah, I remember getting so angry, and that anger hasn't completely gone. It's just, it's not 100% there because it's gone, but I remember just thinking about like just humans' impact on the world, like cutting grass or doing everything for cosmetics, of like, oh, look at my garden, I took this thing from its natural land and brought it over here, and anyways, talking about humans for a second. Yeah. But then, I work in a factory, and
we're still a product of the system. We still contribute to the system.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a problem, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and that's there's such a weird, sad, but I don't know. God, this episode's getting, or this podcast is getting so heavy so fast, and I'm loving it. But I don't want to say submissive, but or even realization, but like submitting to the system of, as you said, like, what are we gonna do, of like we can only fight it for so long, and then you realize how many bills you have to pay.
Yeah.
So what, like, of that great teenage rebellion and how it has to die because our parents can't keep paying shit so we can be rebellious, and then now I'm working 50-hour weeks and I'm still like, resist Trump, but I'm like, here's 40% of my paycheck, Trump. Sorry. Like, it's, that was great. So, how do you feel about that? I just called us all whores.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we all start out with like this idealism of what we want in life and where we want to go, and then we realize that, it's not always, we don't always end up there. Especially right now, I feel like a lot of us are disenchanted with the world.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, that's probably why depression is, I don't know if depression has always been what it is today, but like it literally feels like everybody is, like a lot of people are dealing with this self-loathing of I don't know if in the 50s it was the same way, but
I think people are being more honest about it now, maybe.
Maybe,
the stigma is not quite as sharp.
Yeah, there's definitely, I don't even feel the stigma too much, because if I ever say to somebody like, oh, yeah, I'm not on antidepressants, but my wife is, anyone in earshot's going to go, hey, I am too, whatever, it happens. Yeah, and yeah, there's, how are you doing, Norm?
I'm doing good.
Just comparing it for the what we just shot, just recorded, we're so happy and
I told you I'm
immediately. No, I'm good. I'm embracing it. I'm feeling like this dark, warm cloud washed over me. I'm okay. Yeah.
I have a sudden urge to hang myself.
Yeah. Well, don't fight it. No, seriously, you have to edit my video, so you got to do it after that.
That's true.
All right. Either way, how's it going?
Yeah.
I don't actually want him to kill himself, all right? Jeez, it was joking.
All right.
You're like, all right, God. Jeez, Mark's murderous.
Should I get my camera or?
No, please don't. Don't ever film me.
No, I meant to photograph the
dead
body.
Do that.
Dead body.
Just phase our faces out.
Yeah,
I don't want.
I can get him from the back. That'd be kind of dark.
You can show his face, just not mine.
Oh, not yours.
We can show the victim, just not the suspect.
So we're supposed to kill her, now you guys killed me.
Now, how could she take pictures of her own?
True.
Yeah. 30-second timer. Set it up on a tripod.
How an artist fucking commits suicide is alright. You guys better put this on my gallery.
I feel like that's probably not an original idea anymore.
No, I bet you $5 it's happened.
Yeah.
Like, here's something. Now this is just an art school thing. Now I got a good question. When did you, or have you realized, but when did the point of anything goes in art hit you? Of like Dadaism, of lack of rules. Maybe it hasn't hit you. A lot of artists it doesn't.
I don't know.
But we did this interview. It was like a speaker. He didn't come to our school. We went to the Seattle Art Museum. He was talking to a bunch of people, and we did like a field trip there for like our college. And this guy did this long conversation or long thing about art and color, and afterwards whipped his pants down and shat out about half a gallon of paint that was in his butt the entire interview. Yeah. So at that moment, it of course brought in debate in our school for about a month of was that art? Was the guy and he says he sells these, and he says he sells them for how long the paint was in him. He'll sell more.
Oh.
Which is insane. It's so weird, and you say this to people who don't get normal art. Abstract will scare him. It's like, yeah, well, this is a splatter of blue paint and a splatter of red paint that was in this guy's butt for like 2 hours each.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I remember that happened, and we really had this big, is it art discussion in school for a long time.
Yeah. So
what would be your take on that? Of do you think anything's art? Do you think anything that's expression is art? But they're still good and bad. Doesn't make anything good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can call anything art if you want to. It just depends on the person. If they've got a name and they put a price tag on it sometimes. But then if this 5-year-old creates this crayon drawing, that could be art too. That's something you want to.
It's definitely art. It's a drawing.
But is either one good? Probably not.
Yeah.
Most art is terrible.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing is I'm going to defend the dude who's shitting paint that he paint enema himself. I'm going to say it's art. I'm not going to say it's good art.
No.
I don't see the point behind it. I don't really understand his message. Is he literally just calling art shit? That's the only message I can get.
Performance art is not my thing.
No, it's not mine either.
I think that's performance, definitely.
Yeah, probably.
And
But there's performance artists who get paid a lot of money. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, what's his name? Damien Hirsch, I want to say, was a dude who, he took it was like a conveyor belt that reversed itself so it would move into itself and reverse itself. So he had two conveyor belts next to each other, and then he put it 10 feet in the air, and I want to say it was in a park somewhere. He's a British dude. But yeah, so it moved towards itself and away from itself, and then he took a cow and put it on it and then sawed the cow in half.
A dead cow, right?
Dead cow.
Okay.
Dead cow. And sawed it in half. Yeah, it definitely wasn't alive. So then the conveyor moved away and it split it in half, so its guts would start to fall because it was suspended 10 feet in air. But it would move it back together and back up, but since it was constantly moving, more pieces of it was falling. And people were just sitting and watching this.
Yeah.
And the dude, I don't even remember what city, and so I'm not going to remember the number, but I know he got paid a crap ton of money for it. I wrote a one-page paper on it in school.
Who paid him though?
The city.
The city.
Yeah.
That's
because
interesting.
It
must have been New York or
I want to say it was New York,
the
but
big metro, because
yeah, but New York's pretty famous of Square Park, of putting crazy things all around, letting artists cut loose.
Yeah.
So it might have been that, but
typically it's not that it's
graphic. As
graphic.
fuck. Yeah, but also what's he saying? There's definitely of looking at death in that back to, of I'm not looking for a meaning of life, but more of the price of life, or how much is life actually worth of just watching these pieces just drop.
And food waste and cultural waste.
There's a bunch of things she's speaking with that. And then my brain's not the same as yours, so yeah, you immediately can go to the food waste. My brain didn't even go there. I'm looking more of death
life,
and so that's what I love about art. It's also what I hate about art, because I hate when somebody's like, no, he's saying this. I'm like, I didn't see that at all. Screw you. He's saying this. But
there's only so much room for interpretation sometimes.
Yeah, which is one thing I hate, and I wonder about this for you. If you ever do a show, how do you feel about people who actually straight up ask you the meaning of your pieces?
I mean, they can ask, but I'm going to give them a generic answer because it's such a generic question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I hate doing it. I'll lie, or I'll
yours
say.
Is so abstract. Mine usually is a little more message. I don't know. You always have a deep story behind yours, which isn't always apparent.
No, and it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to know. Well, that's the thing, is I don't want people to know the story. Because
it's kind of like tattoo almost.
Yeah, that works too.
Personal.
Well, I always say, can you ask Van Gogh what the fuck Starry Night meant? No one got to. He died. No one got to know what the hell that painting meant. Why? And I'm not calling myself Van Gogh. That's not the point I'm making. What I'm saying is, it's all up to you to interpret it. It's cheating. And also, my meaning means fucking nothing.
Yeah.
If that painting meant, something to me, that means absolute nothing to you. You're not supposed to get my interpretation of it. I always feel like that's weird. It almost lessens the piece to know what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's not up to me to tell you what a painting's about because you're looking at it.
Yeah, I definitely like to leave things up to the viewer to interpret.
Yeah.
And to define things for them is it is cheating in a way.
Yeah.
So.
And also, I love it when people get something way different.
Yeah.
And they'll look at my piece and they're like, oh, I feel like it's about abuse and this and that. I'm like, it wasn't, but that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't see that at all. But a lot of times, I love it when I just paint something just so crude that they think it's not even the same object. They're like, oh, I like that there's a mountain in a house. I'm like, that's a hammer going into a skull, but whatever.
Yeah, I get that all the time.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah, I see a cat. I'm like, well, it's a dog, but that's close. Or
Well, and yours, and a lot of your images, at least the older ones, of those big ink transfers that I loved, of these, a lot of, remember the cow skull, and you would have a lot of nature with a lot of death. Not a lot of straight up human figures. I think you you never really did. You never put.
I did
in.
one that was a self-portrait, and it was always kind of weird to me to look at myself.
Self-portraits.
It was also huge.
Yeah.
It was 5 feet wide by 3 feet.
And it was your face?
It was my whole body, in different angles. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it was really weird to see.
Yeah, my self-portraits are always very damning. It's always very body dysmorphia. It's me painting myself in the most unflattering way of look at my gut. I just did one that I took my phone camera and I put it underneath my beer belly, and I just painted that, because that's like it's the worst angle you could ever get of a human, but it's exactly how I feel about myself. So all my self-portraits are never like, look how good I look. It's like, look how disgusting I am.
And that's kind of refreshing though, because you have so many. I mean, the selfie culture is such a thing.
Well, that's what I'm getting at too. Is also, and all the people who take those selfies, they fucking like most of them fucking hate themselves. Like they're doing it as, please somebody tell me I'm pretty. Yeah. And I'm not to generalize everybody, but that's why I'll take a selfie, is somebody tell me I look good. But really, I personally think I don't at this moment or whatever. Like, there's a lot of, I don't want to use dysmorphia again, but like, there's a lot of self-loathing in this culture, I feel. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just
along with like perfectionism and and the falseness that comes through.
Of these people who already are these celebrities who are already tens, and then they take pictures and then they airbrush and Photoshop to even make them look fucking better, and then you have people who are like, I look horrible now compared to that.
It's such a social construct, because it's like, what does that is that beautiful? What do you find? How do you define beauty? You know.
Well, and then you have people who now it's funny, and then like people who find something other than that beautiful now are ashamed of what they find beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people who are not into, you know, skinny whatever women who like bigger women, and they'll like whisper it to me like, no, I actually like big chicks. I'm like, why are you fucking ashamed of that? Like big chicks? Like
you like what you like.
Yeah, like it doesn't. It's so weird of culture pushing not even norm on us, but of pushing rules.
Yeah. And it has to do with money, you know, the industries that they're trying to push.
Yeah. But at the same time, if one thing made money, the culture would shift immediately. It goes to the bottom line more than anything. Yeah. This is my favorite podcast I've ever done. This is so dark, so great. I love how energetic you are.
Woohoo.
You need to calm the fuck down.
Yeah. I had a little coffee before I came here.
Yeah, I can tell.
I was even more like morose.
I feel like I got whiplash. Like, I've been so energetic and happy, and then I was like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, hey. And I was like, oh, my neck. Oh, God. Slammed all my energy. No, it's good. I feel like this is a podcast that people gotta like light candles for and just listen to this really, burn some sage and you know, listen to some Cure or some shit. Sorry. What then? Fiona Apple?
No, fuck no.
I love Fiona Apple. I've been listening, or not listening. I've been watching a TV show from on Showtime called The Affair. I'm not trying to tell you anything. I'm not having an affair. I'm just watching it. Okay. No, I told that to my wife. I'm like, I'm watching The Affair. She's like, why? It's like, it had nothing to do with the marriage. I just heard it was good. All right. Anyways, Fiona Apple does the theme song, and I love it. So I recently have gotten into Fiona Apple. Is that weird? It's probably pretty weird.
I don't know. I've never really been into Fiona Apple, so I'm not too familiar with her work.
I almost think you would actually like the opening of this, the movie or the TV show. I don't really know the visuals too much. I don't really pay attention to the opening visuals, but the song just is very. I even have them. It's short. I have the lyrics memorized. This is great. I didn't think I'd ever go here, but it says, "I'm screaming into the canyon at the moment of my death, and the echo it created outlasted my last breath." And it said, "The voice made an avalanche that buried a man I never knew, and then when he died, his widow bride met your daddy, and they made you." And it's haunted me for like 2 weeks. Like, I think it's like the most gorgeous lyrics. And I'm just like, what the fuck does that mean? And I'm just like, I haven't done a painting on it yet. It sparked a lot of, because it definitely, those lyrics definitely follow a lot of the themes of, you know, she said she dies in it, and then it's like this weird, you know, whatever, a butterfly effect that brought like somebody's life in. I don't know, it's a weird ass lyric, but it's been like in my brain for like a week. So anyways, now Fiona Apple is what I've been getting into.
I've been listening to Chelsea Wolfe.
I don't even know that one.
It's real dark, and I'm surprised I haven't like listened to her sooner. But it's kind of noisy.
I get that. Like some bands where it's like, where
have I been?
Yeah, like Dead South. Like, what the hell? And then they're gone. I don't know. Then they came here, and I was like,
I saw that they came here.
I didn't get into them until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I never got to see him, and now I'm like 3 albums in. I was like, well, it's more me. But like,
they might come back.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know.
Yeah,
if they had a good show.
Yeah. Well, they're at Sanctuary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what, Chelsea Wolfe, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a Why would you explain it?
Kind of grungy, dark, noise.
Okay.
Lyrical though, and
yeah, very great lyrics.
I enjoy them. I couldn't tell you.
I'm more of a poet when it comes to lyrics.
Yeah.
Like I could give or take genre as long as the lyrics do something for me normally. How are you on Courtney Barnett? You ever listen to that?
She's kind of fun.
I feel like she'd be up your alley.
Yeah.
She's up mine.
That's another one.
I love Courtney Barnett.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now she keeps coming to the cities, and my brother keeps going with his lady, and I'm like, fuck man, could she come on a day off? I'll fucking go up there. But she went with Kurt Vile and another person who I was like, who's Kurt Vile? And then I looked it up. I'm like, I really had to go to that show. That was great.
Yeah.
But I like Courtney Barnett a lot. She's very the attitude is very in her face, but the lyrics are so up my alley of like. She kind of has a little bit of self-loathing, but at the same time, it's very burn everything down, and at the same time, it's very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. But anyways, so how's it going?
It's going.
What are you up to?
I'm sitting here drinking my ginger beer.
Ginger beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think this is the first time I've ever drank alcohol around you, and you're not drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more responsible these days.
Yeah, I'm on my day off.
Yeah.
Fucking drink
Yeah.
beer. Well, also I'm just having I bought a 4-pack of these and I shared it with somebody else, so this would be my second, and I had a Coors, so
Woohoo.
I'm not like getting fucked up.
You're partying.
2 beers and a Coors.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was about to jump into a different story, but then I realized this podcast is technically about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your name? Laura?
Yep.
What's up?
Good.
Where were we? So we were kind of getting into your themes of your art, of if they've always been there. So then when you left that area, so let's get back into your timeline. So then when you left that area, you went to the airport after school,
right.
and you're still in that area. Were you still doing art?
Yeah.
And did you jump into ink transfers then, and you kept them going all the way up?
Yeah, now I don't do them.
I know. But yeah,
I mean,
so
it's still a transfer. It's still a form of transfer, but it's
yeah.
just not the same type.
But when you're at the airport, were you already doing them?
Yeah, I was
you
making garbage right out of college. Everything was awful, and most of it's been destroyed.
Have you seen my work?
Yeah.
I feel you.
I mean,
people have bought some. That's about it.
It was like after I graduated, it was like everybody wanted me to go to grad school, but I didn't want to stay in school. And
you didn't want to teach, right?
Not really.
That's like literally like 50% of the people who have ever gotten BFAs want to teach art.
Yeah.
Like every time I'm at an art school, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm just here to learn what they're doing, and then I'm gonna do that. It's like, oh my god, go do art.
But it's a way to make money to support your art.
Yeah,
that's the path a lot of people will take. And
you ever have that really lame art teacher? Because I had like 8 who just constantly brought up their own art.
There was like the first time they brought it up, I liked it. I wanted to see what they were doing.
Yeah.
To see where they were being published. Which magazines or which galleries they were in, and so that was exciting.
But there was I always felt like there were some people who it's like
bragging on their stuff,
or not even bragging. Like no one is looking. Please, can somebody look at this? Like they're not getting any traction. So there's like, look, I do this. I do this. If no one likes this, come buy it.
I had one professor that was like that. He was kind of a weird dude.
I had a couple.
Yeah.
There was one teacher who chose like the weirdest. She chose like the weirdest medium with the weirdest thing to them. And I went to one of her shows, and she actually had kind of a bit of a crowd, but it was like graphite drawings, but it was I can't even remember what it's called. You get like a piece of metal, and then you hook it to something, and you grind it down on this paper enough that the metal's coming through. So it's kind of like not quite graphite, but you have to like draw over the same line over and over and over again.
Huh.
I can't remember what it was, but she did really precise lines, so it definitely was hard to do. But she did like drawings of insects, and they're always like 6 inches by 6 inches is all her work was, which killed me because I had like 5 feet by 8 feet. I want to go as big as possible, and it was weird. It was always an insect and then a mathematical equation written over it, and that was all her stuff. And there was like that weird feeling of artists, and this is a huge thing too, artists who get like the same image and love it and do it 80 times. Like, I feel like I've never done that. Maybe I do. But no, I do insects with mathematical equations over it.
That is the same thing. I was thinking like, I do pretty similar things over and over too, but they're all different in a way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you'll stick to a theme, and I like to stick to about 4 or 5 themes.
Yeah.
I usually, anger, jealousy, death, mortality, and I think about the addiction. I like to play with, but that's about it. Like I don't like nothing good, nothing fun. but anyways, I guess sexual assault I've dabbled in.
Yeah.
But that's which I usually tie to the other things, but. Because I don't know, I find horrible shit fucked up and interesting. I guess I don't know. I don't understand sexual assault, so I like to paint about it. I guess I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm a type of person who likes my wife to like me. So like the idea of horrible shit like that is always like I don't know. I find it so like where the fuck did your brain have to go to get there?
Yeah.
I find it interesting. I don't. Not interesting like I'm inspiring to it, but like
well, that's good.
Like what the fuck happened where you're like no this is fine.
Yeah.
Well,
they're not thinking.
Yeah,
they're
that's
usually
it.
Under some sort of like they're drinking or they're
something.
Are high.
Yeah, but I mean there's justifications, and that's something that always brings me to serial killers too. I guess I did a lot of serial killer paintings.
Yeah, you did. You did a series.
Yeah, I did a series of them, and I got them all. If anyone wants any. It's the only time I did a series and sold none. It turns out if no one wants to buy anything from a series, so I'm never gonna do a series anymore.
Yeah.
but at least I'm not until if I ever end up selling a lot of pieces, maybe I'll do one. Yeah, this is one of 6. Buy them all. But yeah, I always go back to serial killers of the justification of how they still have to go to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
So how? Like if I snapped at my wife because I was pissed off because of work and I brought it out on her, I apologize for a week and I don't sleep well for a week. So how the hell do those people kill somebody and like whatever? Like it just fucking weirds me out.
Yeah, they're sociopaths.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the thing.
Wait, what? People's minds work differently than other people's minds?
Yeah.
No, come on. Yeah, I guess. All right. Well then. Was that? So where are we? What's moved you to? How long did it take for you to get up to Fargo, or did you go somewhere before then?
Yeah, I went to.
New York.
New York.
How was New York?
It was interesting. I'm glad that I did it. I definitely learned a lot while I was there because it was my first time like leaving Iowa basically. Like
you went Iowa to there.
I'd traveled and I went to Berlin before then, but it wasn't ever alone.
Mm-hmm.
It was always like with a group or with family, and so this is my first time like going out and moving, taking a suitcase or 2, and I stayed with a friend for a little while, and then I found an apartment and saw a ton of museums, saw a ton of galleries, and just saw so much culture and so much stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of different ideas, especially with the art there. Banksy was there doing a thing in the city.
Yeah.
He was like traveling around to each, borough, and he would leave graffiti somewhere with like his distinct message.
Yeah.
And
with his Banksy stuff.
Yeah. And so you could go around. They had like maps where you could go around to each location and throughout the month that he had been there.
God, I want to guess the year. Was that like what? I want to say that was like 10 or 2010, or was that after?
It would have been
10, 11?
2011.
Yeah, alright. So it would be after Exit to the Gift Shop came out, and he was like writing a really big... I mean, he still is.
It was after
Like,
that.
if you want to look at the biggest artists right now, it's the dude who does Obey, and then it would be Banksy, or I mean, there's probably a couple here and there, like illustrators and stuff, but like a fine art. I guess Chuck Close is still alive, but but yeah, it's like really hard to look for those like who in the fine art community. The further you go into the art community, you realize there's always big artists that only the art community talk about, but actually people who get out of that. I mean, of the last like 10 years, I would have to say Banksy and a couple other.
Yeah, and and a lot of people say that what he does isn't even art, again.
Of course it is.
That thing.
Yeah.
Street art. They're like,
I love
street art isn't art. It's garbage. It's graffiti. But yeah,
Sure.
he's definitely like almost a household name, like one of those.
got a documentary on him that won the Academy Award. Like, he's definitely a household name at this point.
Yeah, but no, that was definitely one of the more fun experiences to go. And then, as I go up to the spot where he's got this, it was like an installation with this old car that he spray painted, and there's like oil drums, and so I go up to it, and there's all these people there, like looking at the same thing, you know.
It's pretty cool.
Because the thing with New York is there's always people.
Yeah.
There's so many people everywhere you go. There's a line, and being like a Midwesterner, I'm like I like my space. I like my wide open spaces. I like it quiet. Obviously.
Well, not only a Midwesterner, but also kind of an introvert of Midwesterners. So
there's that too.
Yeah, so you're like, hey, everybody.
Hey.
Oh, whoa.
But it was good to definitely break out of what I was used to.
How long did you stay there?
Like 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
So you didn't move in and try to live there, or did you?
I had a hard time finding work.
Yeah.
And I was being really picky about the work that I wanted.
You didn't want to be a hostess at a place. Yeah.
No, I needed to support myself, and I was like, well, if I want a crappy job, I can just go back to the Midwest.
Do a crappy job.
But then people are like, yeah, but you're not in New York. But I'm like, I don't know if I really belong in New York.
Well, and there's another thing. I remember the pressure in art school. I don't know if you felt this pressure, but the pressure of you can go ahead and create the best stuff ever, but if no one's going to see it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the only place where it matters is West Coast, East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, sure, there's people who broke that norm. There's in the art world who make a living off of art. There's people in this town who make a living off of art. I mean, I'm definitely not one of them, but but also I work a full-time job and paint when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's always been the goal. I'm not depressed about it, but I mean there. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. But my point was it always seemed like the goal of make it somewhere small, Iowa, North Dakota, whatever.
Yeah.
Go to New York, make it there, be a huge artist.
That's like a constant theme on like any sitcom.
Yeah.
Like any show. Books, like you got to go find yourself and be a star.
Yeah.
And it was like so naive. Like there was that little bit of that thought, and I was like, no, I'm not that person. But there was that like that naivety.
Well, I remember the first time you ever told me you went to New York. I made that. I said hey, whatever. Maybe I'll get really famous here and move to New York. And I said it as like if it ever happened, maybe, but no. And then you're like, I've been there. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah, I was a little jaded after that. And definitely glad I did it, for sure. But I think a lot of people see New York and they want to visit it, but you don't really want to live there.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Oh, well, yeah. I know somebody who lived there as a model, and even though she was making, getting as much modeling gigs as a model's going to get, she was still a hostess at a restaurant on top of it.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, yeah.
A lot of people I met had trust funds, and hey, good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. But also, then if you ever meet one of the an actual big artist, so many of them are such pretentious pieces of shit. Where you're like, I don't really want to be around you.
Yeah. So.
That's another thing from the show I'm watching. I love that I do this, but they in the TV show The Affair. So their daughter, who's 17, the first couple episodes, they do a bunch of time jumps. So she's decides not to go to college, and then they are from New York, so it skips to where she's in her 20s. She started 17 in the beginning of the show, and she's in her 20s. Anyways, so she starts dating a really famous photographer who's a complete pretentious piece of shit, and he changed his name to Fur Cat, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love Fur Cat, but he's 50, she's 20.
Yeah.
And there's there's this great scene where the main character goes to Paris for something, and he runs into his daughter, or Fur Cat. He sees Fur Cat first, and then Fur Cat already hates him, and he hates Fur Cat because who the fuck would like him? But so he's like, hey, is my daughter here? Da, da, da. And then her daughter hates him because the TV show's called The Affair. He had an affair, so she hates him. But anyways. You two are a family part, stuff like that. But so, anyways, whole point of it was the guy Fur Cat. He wants to go see his show because he wants to see his daughter, and then his daughter is clearly being neglected by him. They're also banging, and so she's his assistant.
Yep.
And then Fur Cat like, is trying to reprimand her for, like, interrupting him during this conversation, and then just smacks her.
Oh.
Like, goes outside, smacks her, and then she's like, no, he's a brilliant artist. It's part of his process. And I was like, fucking cut his balls off. Like, I don't care if that's part of your what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like the thing of just artists of like, no, I have to be a narcissistic piece of shit. It's part of my process. Well, get a better process.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've met, but I definitely met artists that are, just, dude, your fart does not smell that good. You should.
And it's like, that commercialism in art, I think, is kind of maybe
definitely
part of it, and a lot of it's when you get into the more conceptual area of art where they don't have the skill, so they have to talk up their pieces.
They have to sell themselves. Yeah.
And that's a huge culture. That's probably the money making culture is the people that can talk.
Yeah.
And so the people that actually, most of us like introverted, skilled people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, can't sell themselves because it's difficult. Well, and I've even met artists who don't like to sell their stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, it's way too personal. And whoa. I'm a little different. My art's like vomit. I want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I get out. Sale. Yeah. I'm way different. I do not look at any piece precious. I just don't. I get out that horrible thought, so I don't have a horrible thought anymore, and I try to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll look at it. It's fine. It's not like I'll walk by my studio like, or anything. But yeah, I definitely do it to sell it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've never had a website. I don't carry around a business card. Yeah.
Huh.
I went to school for it too. How funny is that?
Yeah.
And I was actually really big. I helped. I didn't run anything. I helped a business that my friend ran that was selling graphic designs, t-shirts who were screen printing, and I was doing that for a long time in college, right after I left college. I never finished it. But anyways, I was doing that for a while, and even there, I was their best marketer because I was an artist who's not an introvert, and that's kind of rare. I was probably the only person who worked with them who was okay with just walking right up and talking to somebody. And I gave up business card after business card after business card, and then I came back here, and I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. I have them, but I don't really use them all the time.
Yeah.
Or when I want one, I don't have one on me, which is terrible.
Yeah. But you do have a website for your art?
I do. I'm in the middle of updating it. I'm honestly using Instagram a lot these days.
See, I was told I got to get on Instagram mostly for the art because even Spencer is like, people so many times say, okay, you do art, where can I find you on Instagram? I'm like, oh shit, that's a thing?
Yeah.
All right.
I've fought it forever until like a couple months ago, this last summer, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. And is it already paid off? Is it a good thing?
I don't know. I feel a little more connected to the community here, actually, which is surprising.
Really? Oh,
but then also there's a huge international community,
mm-hmm.
and I was very surprised to see people doing similar things to me, like differently, but still using the same materials.
Well, even
the same subject.
Even I was, not so much surprised on your subject as a lot of. You're probably the only person around here who was kind of in that subject, but definitely of your subject matter, I was familiar with it because we learned it in school, but I didn't know anyone who was diving into it, and I thought that was so cool of how refreshing it is to see somebody who is doing acrylic on, or even oil on canvas. Mm-hmm. Oil on canvas to me is like, oh cool, sweet, that's what you do, oil on canvas?
Yeah, you gotta do it well if you're gonna do it.
Yeah, and there's so many people who do oil on canvas.
Yeah.
I hate canvas and oil. And I don't know if it's just a protest to the culture or is it just because I prefer those mediums, but I like acrylic because acrylic sticks to everything. I like wood because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend any money on my art, and I've always been that way. And I don't know what brought me away from brushes. I stopped using those like years ago, and I just put it right on and spread it around. But I don't know what did that. But I don't know, feeling your paint. I really like having paint on my hands, I guess. I don't know. Have you even painted? When was the last time you had paint on you?
No, actually I do in between my current pieces. I'll do altered books.
Oh really?
So,
I know, I've seen those. Yeah.
I'll just throw like some paint on the page, and then I kind of like to do ink blots with that. So I'll just squish it
fun.
on there.
Those are fun.
And then on the same page I'll like add in something graphic and some text.
And are those more like a stream of conscious of just like kind of just fun to get?
It's almost like a sketchbook sometimes.
I got Post-it notes at work that I'll do my sketches. I don't sketch too much anymore, and it kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
Because I used to just fill sketchbooks,
Yep.
and I don't at all anymore. So I do a lot more of my those post-it notes. I've been calling my stream of post-it notes, or my post-it notes of consciousness, because it's just, all right, I'll draw this, and I'll just get all these 30 ideas out.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a lot like my little tiny $1 ones. I still do my tiny little pieces where I'll just give them away, and just, if I'm not gonna sketch, I gotta get ideas.
Yeah, and
done.
it's definitely, it's a nice way to like break up,
Yeah.
do something different from what I'm usually doing, because you get burnt out.
Oh yeah.
If you do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So.
Looking at, actually, I'm not gonna say this. I'm gonna go with this. You had, and I don't know if you still have it, but I remember it was we were sharing a bottle of wine. Probably the first couple months you came to the studio. Mm-hmm. Me and you used to drink wine a lot down at the studio.
Yeah, I used to drink a lot of wine.
Yeah. You'd come down to the studio sober, and I'd come down, and we'd kind of be talking to each other slightly. I'd be working in the corner, you'd be working in your studio, and then I'd be like, fuck, should we go get a bottle of wine? And then we'll walk over when Nestor was still open. Somebody would grab a bottle of wine, walk back, and then halfway through it, we're both in each other's spaces bullshitting, because that's the fun of wine. Yeah. And then we still work. There's not a lot of people who work down there, especially on fine art, because a lot of it's music down there now.
Yeah, it is.
Which, whatever.
That's okay. At least they're using the space.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. And I'm always down for that. Right now it's mostly just me and Spencer, which works because we have a lot of the same thing me and you had of critiquing each other and looking at each other's stuff. Yeah. And he's painting, so it's we're actually the same medium, which me and you are not.
Feed off each other a little more.
Yeah, a little more. And then energy, I always paint off energy. By myself, I'm not going to get as much done. Even if somebody's not working, if somebody's just down there with bullshit with me, I will feed off energy and get a painting done faster. But anyways, you once, when we were sharing a bottle of wine, you whipped out, I want to say it was a deck of cards that was all every single card was penises. Or something. No, there was at least one penis.
Oh yeah, at least one. Probably just one though.
Okay, but I know it was like there were very dirty decks of cards.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say you said you did them in, I wanted to say high school. That's what you told me.
No, I only did one deck of cards, and that was when I started when I was in Berlin.
Okay.
I did a lot of just kind of piecemeal projects over there, and then I brought them back home and finished them. So that was in college.
And I remember just how blown away I was from that deck of cards. Cause I
didn't like that deck of
really?
cards.
I thought it was awesome. But I know they're all vulgar, at least. They're all, But, what are we looking at on time?
I was actually going to flag you down. It's 1:06 right now.
Oh,
okay.
Awesome. So I can start asking big questions now. We've got through that.
Sounds like a good transition.
Yeah, all right, sweet. Well, yeah, we just said vulgarity, so that's perfect. So when did you move to Fargo? Let's get through this.
I went from New York. I went to California and stayed for a while. I had a cousin out there in Napa Valley, so that's kind of how I learned to like wine. And
that's why we bought $8 wine.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah. I learned how to drink anything, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then my cousin and I, we did a little road trip down to New Mexico, and then we came back to Iowa for the winter. And and then after that I moved up here. I had some friends convince me.
Okay.
So that would have been like 2012.
Is that how long did you live before you got into the studio? I wanted to say it wasn't too far after 2012.
No, it would have been. I think I might have been here 9 months to a year, and then I moved into Seagraves.
Okay, yeah,
because I don't know. It's a blur.
Yeah, well, all I know is I met Leslie in 2012, and I went to that studio 2012.
Did you?
And I was definitely there before.
Maybe it was 2013 that I moved.
Yeah, definitely, because there was a little bit of a gap.
Time is so weird.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing. You're right. Because all I remember is there was a whole group that was gone before the Me, You, Austin group was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole group was like Nick Early and this guy named Andrew. And
I remember Nick Early.
Yeah. Well, Early was even there when you were
there.
There. Yeah, Early was great. I loved Early. He was like the best stoner philosophy of all time. Be like, hey, look at my stuff. He's like, you know what it makes me feel, man? Like, that's what you wanted in Nick. Like, it was so great. And he would always, like, completely opposite of what I'm going for. He's like, I feel like this is about, like, every day the sun's gonna rise. And, like, it's a picture of, like, It's a picture of John Wayne Gacy, but that's great.
Right.
Thanks, dude. But
it would have been. I moved in here spring of 2013, because it's been about 5 years.
Okay.
This spring. So.
Okay, so then it was a little after that when you went to Secret.
Yeah, I think it was that following fall.
Okay.
Following fall.
Yeah, that's good. It should be a punk band or emo band.
Here we go.
There you go. I was just talking to a guy who's in punk bands, so that's why it's in my head. But definitely emo band.
Yeah.
Following fall. Falling fall. All right, sorry, get off this. So, all right, and so you stuck Seagrave for a bit, and are you at a different studio, or where are you producing right now?
I was, after Seagraves, I was over at the Spirit Room for a while,
Yeah.
and then now I'm over at my house in Moorhead.
So you're just going right out of your house?
Yeah.
How weird is that? Do you like it?
It
scares me.
I miss the community.
Yeah, that's what it scares me, because I need critiquers.
But I am more productive.
Really?
And I can sit down whenever I have a spare moment. I can just hey, I feel like working for a couple hours, and I can just do it, and I am in my own little world.
Did you say that you're producing more, at least more than me, but definitely more, like recently compared to, or maybe that's just my.
I'm working smaller now too, and that helps me go faster.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I did like your stuff being big, but at the same time, it was always. Stuff was very hard to, I want to say, put in the gallery, as you have done it, but it's stuff that, and also not a lot of people are doing them, so people look at them like, so what am I looking at? Mm-hmm. It's like, also I have to explain the process for you to then start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, and then the other idea is that people don't want to buy big stuff because they don't always have wall space.
Yeah. Sure.
And so it's hard to sell things over $100 in this town if you're not represented by a gallery or.
I usually stick at 100.
Yeah.
Like I used to go like, okay, a decent size, I'm going 100. The bigger I go, they'll put it to 200.
Yeah.
And I'm now at the point where if you want it, we'll find a price.
Yeah.
Is where I'm at.
People don't understand haggling.
Yeah. I totally sold a piece to you, didn't I? Yeah.
You did.
So and that was it. Was like, okay, you want something I'm okay with. Like I'm at the point where haggling is for the fun. I'm really gonna go with the highest price you're okay with.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of it. I'm not gonna if I go 500 and somebody says 50, it's like, all right, 75. Like I'll drop down to get rid of it because I need studio space.
Yeah.
I'm not relying on it, on the money. I work a full-time job that pays, I don't know, better than I fucking deserve. That's for sure. And I mean, I used to say that I sold enough to pay for my studio. I don't go enough into my studio to do that anymore, but also it's pretty easy because it's only $80 a month in Seagrave. But so all right, so you were at Seagrave for I want to say a few years.
I think it was a year and a half.
Oh wow, I thought it was more than that.
I don't know. Time I can't keep
time's
track
weird.
of time. Yeah.
And then you went Spirit Room, and then you said another space before your place.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was it.
All right. Well, then let's jump into what you're doing now. And so, as you said, smaller. I want to say I saw at least a couple pieces that were almost like normal, like paper size, like 8 by 11 or whatever.
Yeah, they're slightly bigger than that. They're always like a weird size, like 9 by 13 or something. I don't know why.
Okay, so explain this medium completely that you're doing.
So I've it's still a form of inkjet transfer, but instead of using my own photography, my own images in Photoshop and printing that, I'm taking things out of magazines, specifically National Geographic.
Yep.
And then pornos.
Yeah.
So
is it Hustler or things like that? Or?
Oh yeah, I mean so I've gotten a lot of my new materials that I use free, recycled basically.
Nice.
And
so it's not like you're going on the Pornhub and
I'm not
Googling.
buying new porn. I'm using recycled porn. Think about that.
Well, also, I'm pretty sure the porno mag is a dying art, if not dead art.
Yeah.
And so everyone you find probably have at least 90s to 80s hair. There's probably not.
I have a range. I've got some from like early 60s up until mid 2000s probably, maybe even 2010.
And it's still in there. What's the naked lady in the bathroom of Seagrave? Was that from you? The one with the butt?
Oh yeah, and she's got a kitten. Is that the one with the kitten on her shoulder?
Maybe.
And she's wearing a t-shirt. That was a weird one.
No. There was a naked one.
Oh. That was probably the same magazine though.
I don't think there was a kitten.
Oh, so
I want to say I look at the butt, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You didn't notice the kitten.
I didn't notice the kitten.
Yeah.
I think the one with the shirt on it with the kitten, I actually do know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I think the one in the bathroom, she wasn't wearing anything, and it was just like a butt, and she's like looking over,
Huh. Yeah.
looking over her shoulder.
I think that was probably Playboy
maybe.
from like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just like, hey, I remember seeing a butt in the bathroom. Was that you? Well,
Probably.
not you, but yeah.
Was it my butt?
Yeah, it was. I just hang out in the bathroom with my butt out. I'm sorry. So you find these old porno mags and then take out images from them. So you do ink transfer and then you do like an embroidery thing over them.
Yeah, I do. I'll take the lines, the borders and stuff,
And you'll intermingle.
and I kind of combine them so they're more cohesive.
Okay.
And so it's like this very delicate, ornate stitching, and this kind of harsh image of. And I censor it in weird ways. Like I'll censor out the body parts of the woman with like a picture of a lion from the Nat Geo. And
Yeah. Are you censoring just for? Is the censoring part of the art of you're covering up the lady, or is it more of a for marketing standpoint of you want to make it a little less graphic, or is it hey don't look at tits, check out this lion?
it's sometimes it's kind of a statement.
Okay.
Because it's like it's a statement on the censorship of society. Like you can't put female nipples on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's a thing, and
They still show up sometimes.
I can get away with it. But then I can do little French knot nipples, and that'll be fine. And then like I'll add in detailing with my stitching, and I'll do vaginas, and I'll do penetration, and and sometimes I won't add in the details in the piece. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling.
I don't know if it's just your ballsiness or maybe it's just easier coming from a woman artist, but I've always really liked the more graphic, and I've actually many times wanted to paint a more graphic sexual act, and I just feel like it's not going to be read the same coming
Probably
from
not.
me,
Yeah.
especially my art style, because none of it's always harsh because of the colors I use.
Yeah.
And that was of course always the idea of me like doing a harsh sex scene that's supposed to be very graphic and supposed to be in your face. And then I got this little bit of a jealousy. Like, damn it, she can do.
It's amount of bravery that it takes too.
There's definitely bravery.
Because I still get
as I said,
feedback.
I backed off. That
Yeah.
you're braver than me. Granted, I think it's slightly easier for you, but at the same time, it's still definitely brave.
Yeah.
I saw an artist in Washington who, and this speaking of brave, and they're gorgeous too, but he did these huge oil on canvas paintings that were like 8 feet by 10 feet, like huge horizontal things that were super close up of penetration, of just like dick and ass, and just huge.
At that point, it's an abstract thing.
Yeah,
At that
but-
size.
But you would look and you're like, that's a chick getting a dick in the butt, and it was so far away you couldn't get context, so
Yeah.
it was that much better. It was about the penetration, but it was so beautifully painted, and it was realism at the same time. So it was like yellow, it was skin color. It was very much that's a giant dick in the butt, and I remember like that's got to be bold, but I think he had to work himself up.
Yeah.
Like, get known in the art world before it's like, all right, guys, I'm going to do giant anal. Like, all right, cool. I don't think anyone could just jump off that. If I did it, I don't think it's going to sell.
Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah, if I can't sell stuff violent, I definitely can sell dick and butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
You want to write that down, Norm? Dick and butt?
The difference in generations, too, I find is interesting because, like, our age, they're cool with it. They've seen porn, and it's normal.
Yeah.
But then, like, the little old lady that comes in, she's like, this is nice. Oh, wait. And then she, like, runs away.
Yeah. Is the galleries downtown, I definitely am not picturing. Maybe got them up there, but I'm definitely not picturing that stuff in there.
Yeah. It's more folk art centered here in town.
Yeah.
Is what people want. Or, like, restaurant abstract style. Like, the weird fruit.
Yeah. The weird...
Fruit bowl.
Chick getting eaten out. What's up? Yeah. And a chick spread eagle with a lion vagina. What's up?
Yeah.
So it's definitely coming from a different place from your older stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this like embracing sexuality, or is it a more of a statement? Is it you personally embracing sexuality? Is it more of a statement of you say Nat Geo and then porn, so of just it looks like you could go nature on that, of how we're all just animals of that, or how we're treated as women are nothing but, I don't know. I got a couple places I can go with this.
Yeah, and it's definitely there. It's all there.
It's all there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What I actually like the most about I'm a man. I love pornography. So I'm definitely married, so I definitely love pornography. I have to say, I a lot of times see different sexual acts that I love the composition of them. That's where I want to draw them.
Yeah.
Where I'm like looking and I'm like, this is a pretty great, the way that like this guy's like standing up on like a rock and she's like this has got to be difficult. So I want to throw one out, and I almost screenshotted it and sent it to you, and then I came to my...
Probably should have.
Nope.
Oh.
I could find it, but it's fucked up.
Oh.
I want everyone to know this is probably the most vulgar sentence I've said on this podcast. So it is a foursome between... no one involved is, attractive. But it's like, in my opinion, but it's German, and it's a girl who she's larger. That's fine, but I shouldn't have said that first thing. They're attractive in their own way. Mark, stop being judgmental.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a larger lady and two fat Germans with big old beer guts and a midget, and the midget's a girl. And the thing I thought is amazing, I could actually find it, but there's a shot of the bigger girl on all fours, like she's gonna get banged on both ends. Again, most vulgar thing I've ever said. If you are under 18, get the fuck out of my podcast right now. All right, it looks like she's going to, but she isn't. The midget is in the exact same position on her back, getting banged on both ends.
Oh.
So she's on all fours, and the midget's on all fours.
She's the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the table. But they get to, since the midget's too short for them to stand up, they now get to stand up to do it.
Oh.
So she's making it possible for the midget to get spit roasted by two normal size. Spit roast is the technical term. I'm sorry, it is. What else you could say? DP doesn't tell it. You think DP, you
Isn't
hear
it Eiffel
EA.
Tower?
Golden Gate.
Golden Gate? Oh.
Golden Gate. Yeah, so it would be more of a Golden Gate. But, yeah, or Eiffel Tower. Eiffel Tower is just high-fiving during it. Yeah. Okay, so it's an Eiffel Tower, but on top of a normal-heighted woman. I'm trying to be as PC as possible talking about this. The normal size, not normal, average size woman's back, and a midget just getting banged by these two guys. And I just, the shot itself is just so great. Because it's these two people on all fours, boom, boom. Yeah. And I almost screenshotted it.
There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to say about that.
Yeah. But it's not from, an old school porn, because it wouldn't be an old school porn magazine.
No, I've
but
seen
I almost wanted to be like, dude, you gotta see this. But I knew your first question would be like, what the fuck are you doing right now? Like, are you masturbating to this?
Yeah, thanks,
what
man.
the fuck, dude?
Didn't need to know.
Yeah. Thanks for masturbating to this shit and then thinking of me. Yeah. So. But anyways, it was my thought of composition. I thought it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could paint it because of what's going on, but it was so.
I feel like if you painted it, the details could get lost because people might think it was a child or something.
But that's worse.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, let's not do that. I finally decided to start painting sex, and the first one's a adult person helping a child get banged.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Nope.
That is not okay. What do you think, Oliver? He had nothing to say. He's looking at you. He wants,
Well, I feed him.
I don't know.
Let's be real
That's
here.
pretty hungry.
Oh, yawn. Okay, that was cute. All right. Anyways, so that's is why what I wanted to bring up to you is sexual acts of just the composition and how they look of being interesting.
Yeah, and there's certain images that I can use, certain positions I guess that I could use that work.
Yeah.
And some that don't. And like the ones that are like all flesh.
Yeah.
It's too much flesh. I can't censor all. And like what do I actually censor? Where do I draw the line there? So that's something I play with too.
So there's definitely some porn where it's like that's just a close up on something. No, not gonna use that. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I can make it work, but usually it's more like zoomed out, full body shots.
Mm-hmm. Are you enjoying what you're doing? That you completely left what you were doing before and then you're moving to this, or is this kind of like a nice little fun rendezvous to a different type of theme?
I think I'm going to stick with it for a while because I feel like there's a lot more depth to it than just with death.
Yeah.
I mean, death is a whole thing, but I kind of felt like
I'm waiting for you to combine them.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Cow Skulls and Girls of JJ.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it.
I do have one piece with buffalo skulls, but that was, again, it was from Nat Geo, so it's like I kind of just take what I can find from magazines.
Yeah.
To combine the two magazines.
Where are you getting these magazines at?
I have connections.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you know where? This is back when porno mags were, like, 50% of pornography because it was before the internet. But we used to go. Now it's not even there, I don't think. But maybe there was a recycling plant, or not recycling plant, recycling drop off in Mickelson Park, which is over by Horace Mann, and that's the neighborhood I grew up in elementary school. So we would dive into the magazine one. We had one person who could get into it, and then he would look through as we all look around, and he would find porno mags, and we found like 4 or 5, and that's how when we were in like 5th and 6th grade we got to see boobs.
Yeah.
And we got one that was just a little too not Playboy, like a little too fucking advanced.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's why I'm a piece of shit. No, I'm kidding.
That's one of the reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm sure my mom did something. but or my dad. But yeah, so but yeah, I was just saying, you have any things like that where you just go find one of the magazine recycling plants?
No.
But I guess then you wouldn't know. You're specifically looking for 2. You're looking for Nat Geo, and you're looking for
any porn.
Any porn.
I'll take anything. But I have a friend that works at a thrift store, so
perfect.
So donations, and every once in a while somebody will drop off a whole box of
porno mags.
Yeah.
So and I do like that you're getting like more vintage ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work now like with more different body types and like different hair.
Yeah.
Typically, I would see like all these blonde, stereotyped, big eyes, models, and then now I'm looking at like perms, like 80s,
dude, the
80s
weird
hair.
hairs. 80s hair is great. I love 80s porn because it looks so different, but they're still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But the women, like, they don't look like at all what the porn stars that we're working with now. There was something that made them look older, but I'm not sure if they were older. Yeah. But it's always weird to see the same dirty shit they do now in porn, but like 80s.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what, they had anal back then? That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I wonder if they got paid more.
The idea of like body type too is kind of hard because it's all the same. Like unless you're specifically finding like a fetish magazine, you're gonna get this same woman.
Have you been using that too, a fetish magazine?
I haven't received any in my donations, so I'm waiting. And it's tough because I want to include people of color and different minorities, and it's hard to find. And when I do find them, they're so fetishized. They're a cartoon of a person. And I use it. I still use it because it still sends a message of exploitation.
But you're looking at 80s porn. Banging a black chick wasn't banging a chick, it was banging a black chick, so it was probably played up in those magazines, which is weird.
Or the black guy with the white woman.
Yeah, so then there was a couple different, going back to different TV shows, but this was a HBO one on The Deuce. It's a David Simon show, the same guy who made The Wire, which I don't know if you know, I'm obsessed with The Wire, but I am. But, what? Screw you.
I've not seen it.
No, you should.
Right,
but anyways, you totally should. But anyways, the same guy did that. It's the first season is like the beginning of parlor shops and nudie booths and pornography on the street they call it The Deuce, but like near Times Square, New York, and then it jumps like 6-7 years or whatever it is to when it's completely the norm and everyone's in porn. And so the second season has this black pimp who pimps start like pimping out their ladies to porn, but they're still there to like watch them, and so there's this guy, his name's Larry Brown, favorite character by the way, who's a pimp who starts to want to get into it, and they're like, no, you're a black guy, like we're not going to do it unless it's this. So he started doing scenes, but it was like escaped slave and like really messed up scenes. Like that was it. It was always played up as like that. And then eventually the character played by Maggie Gyllenhaal is in it, and she's a producer on it, but she plays a former prostitute who starts directing, and she wants to make like close to a mainstream porn, think more like Deep Throat, like that people still looked at as normal movies, and it was like based on Little Red Riding Hood, and he's like the guy in it, so he's excited he gets to play a part that wasn't, you know, like a stereotype. He gets to be the big bad wolf. But anyways, that's all I can know about like how 70s and 80s looked at that of like this weird interracial where it's like escaped slave porn. What the fuck? And now you think about it, it's like, dude, really? Yeah. Somebody came to that? What the fuck? Some weird stuff. I mean,
yeah, there's definitely a lot of weird stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I don't know, it makes you wonder about society, not in like a bad way, but just like what are you repressing that this is what you're...
what brought you to getting turned on by this opposed to anything else? I mean, I'm not gonna dog anybody. I go down my weird rabbit holes, but
I don't kink shame or anything, but
yeah. Well, my rabbit holes are always like what else is like this? What else is like this? And next thing you know, I'm like, you know, German midget, and I'm like, all right, I've definitely got to just not watch this just as like out of being surprised and like all right, I want to see where this is going now.
I wonder how like desensitized I am, and if that's normal sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like then I look at that little old lady that's shocked, and I'm like, have I gone too far? You know?
Yeah.
Or is she?
And honestly, comparing that to what I'm gonna find on Pornhub, your shit's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's a line of a naked body censored by nature.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely not two guys banging a chick in both her holes. It's not that, and that's what a lot of people look at that.
It's interpreted differently.
But it's definitely not extreme, explicit video of that. I'm saying your stuff isn't nearly as vulgar or is nasty as what people constantly will watch for whatever masturbation purposes at their own house. And at the same time, it's gonna be censored.
Yeah. And
because it's looked at as a different light of you're bringing it out of, you know, our bedroom or whatever, you know, somebody's work bathroom, wherever people do it. But you're putting it onto a wall and making people look at their perversions, which definitely is hard to look at. It makes me excited because I find it awesome. As I said, I really wish I could create it, but I feel like it's gonna look differently.
Yeah.
And I don't use the same medium as you do, but anyways, what? I already asked that question. So what brought you 100% to doing that? Is it just something that's always been in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I'd always been kind of playing around with sexuality and that sort of thing, and then, I don't know, I guess I got bored with the death, and then I got this huge donation of porn, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'd always been like using collage.
Even at Seagrave you did smaller ones, but it really always looked like something you were just...
Yeah, I was just kind of playing around
fiddling with. Yeah, it didn't look like it was going to be a piece you were going to sell. And then we were both part of the same show somewhere on Main Avenue. It was a cool little... I liked it. It was this cute little studio. Your stuff, and I had a big painting there. And then I actually bought a painting from there.
Which show was this? It wasn't the Make Room, was it?
No, it wasn't Make Room.
I don't remember being at the Make Room together.
Nope. It was further down... you had to like go in the back of a building. Oh God, pretty sure. I know I saw you there.
I'm sure.
And I want to say Spencer even had a piece there. At least I went there with Spencer. I went there with Spencer, my wife.
Ochre.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah. I forgot all about that show. That was a fun show.
It was this cute little show. I liked it a lot. Yeah. And we bought the person who got us into it. I'm forgetting her name. But great painter.
Was it Beta?
I want to say it started maybe.
Weber?
She had curly hair. I don't know, but I bought a painting from her, and it's now hanging in our living room.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was nice.
It was the blue lady with wings, and it was from behind, and she's naked, so just gorgeous blue butt, And so that's hanging on our wall, and I love it. There's something about that painting that's very enchanting, but it was weird because I now learned that I'm not allowed to buy like anything I can haggle with my wife, because she dropped our poker cards immediately. I was like, all right, you're asking for $300, and Leslie goes, yeah, whatever you want. It's like, damn it!
It's tough though, because you don't want to insult the artist.
Well, yeah,
you know?
no, and at the same, and it's not like I was gonna go, all right, 50, where we're going. Yeah, I always I go down a little bit, and I actually look at what we can spend, and we actually could have spent $300, and we did. But so I probably would have went to $250, and then if she went up to $75, I would say fine. And yeah, you're right. You don't want to insult the artist, but at the same time, I do feel like every artist does price their stuff a little higher than they're okay with. At least I do.
Yeah.
If I actually do a gallery show, I'm not writing $100 on my giant painting, even though I'd take it.
Yeah.
I'm writing, because there's something about if you go and see all these guys' stuff and they're like $10. It's like, oh, so you don't care about this?
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't. Why would I care about it? So it's like this weird psychology of pricing their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the idea of like friend prices. What do you
Yeah, but you're my friend.
You should probably charge your friends more, Yeah,
but you actually care about me, asshole, so pay full price.
Yeah.
My brain just went here. This is a good thing. How are you on naming your art? Do you...
Terrible.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
Are you an untitled person?
No, I would typically go with like... Nat Porno number 1, Nat Porno number 2.
I saw that, yeah.
Just because I didn't know what else to title it, but now I'm actually going with like, what's this person's name, or
nice.
what's the name of the spread that they're in?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's some really cheesy ones, and yeah.
I had a teacher, Michael Adderson, in college, who was really great. Minimalist painter. Good one ever. You did this.
Just saying we're at 1 hour 35. We had about 6 minutes of.
So we're good whenever. We're almost nailed it. Let me. I want to finish the thought about naming. So he said that any chance you have to express yourself is a chance to express yourself. So just because your painting is your art, don't end it there. How are you gonna hang it on the wall?
Yeah.
How are you gonna put the name of it next to it? Like maybe you're gonna take it and then put whatever the name of it, the tag, and hang it on the other wall. Like you have all these ways to express yourself when it comes to, and then the biggest one was his name, the name of the piece. So he did these pieces that were very minimalist. That was like a blue square and like a yellow line and then like a red circle, and that was it. And he called it like the time we had waffles at my mom's place and my aunt came over and argued to her about about her dad's non-resuscitate law. Like some weird 30-word name.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I'm like, but it's a fucking yellow line. So I'd ask him like, why, how, and why? And he goes, that's your chance. Whether it has anything to do with the fucking painting or not, you are missing an opportunity. He says anyone who writes untitled, unless it's a statement on itself, unless you're saying it can't be titled because of this, but because you didn't think of one, he thinks it's a crime. It's a lost opportunity.
I can see that.
Another way to art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely see that.
So that's just something I brought up to other painters because naming is always such a secondary. You spend all your time worrying about the piece and at the end. But I love names. I like to try to be as cryptic I love really long ones. I have a feeling you hated them because you told me you did over Facebook, but who knows? But I did two...
Like the pointillism ones?
The thumbprint ones.
Yeah, I hated those.
Yeah, why?
I don't know, it's terrible.
Love ya. Alright, so the first one I did, it was my buddy Jack, and he gave me a picture and I did it. Was it because it was too Chuck Closey? It was very Chuck Closey.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It just brought a lot of things to my mind that I didn't like, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But so it was just nothing but thumbprints for him. And then I asked him, hey, just give me a random sentence. And God, it was like some weird thing about, at any moment of my day, I'm still thinking about the state that my grandma's corpse is in of decay. The state of decay my grandma's corpse is in that died 3 years ago. I'm like, all right, that's the fucking title of the piece. So that's what I named the piece, but it was always you look at the title and then you look at this dude's face, you're like, okay, what? You know, but.
But I can see how it could definitely like help inform the viewer on what they should be thinking, what they should be feeling.
Yeah, or go the other way with it, which is what the dude did with the minimalism. Was he talks about whatever, and it had nothing to do with a yellow line and a red circle. So I tried to play with both. Try to push them in the way, but since I work so much with words in it, it's just like the words are running right off into the title. Like usually is whatever the theme I'm writing onto the piece, where I'm constantly putting words onto it. I'll just make one of the sentences I was going to use the title. But anyways, now I'm sad that you hated my thumbprint pictures.
I guess I didn't hate them. I just was bored with them.
Yeah, well,
bored.
I guess I had to do. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think somebody. I think it was like a proof that I still understood color enough.
Yeah, I could see that. I
mean, it was definitely more skillful than some of my other stuff, but I don't know. And it was very much of an exercise. I really did enjoy doing
something
it.
To get out of your system, maybe.
Yeah, and I only did 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one of them I did 1.5. One of them I covered up with black.
And that one I was like, yeah, that's going somewhere.
Yeah, I like that one a lot more. Yeah, that one looked better. All right, well, you didn't think you could make it, but we did it.
Yeah.
We killed the podcast.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to talk about? Do you got a show coming up or anything?
No, I'm not doing much right now. Actually, I've got, hopefully, the Human Rights Festival coming up.
I don't even know that's a thing.
Deadline just happened, so they're announcing that soon. So hopefully.
Okay.
I was in it last year. We'll see.
And is that part of FMDA?
No, it's a different organization. It's North Dakota Human Rights.
And they're looking for artists?
No, the deadline's gone.
Oh, well, they were looking for artists?
But it's, what they do is, this year the show is going through 3 different cities. It's going to be in Fargo, Bismarck, Grand Forks.
Cool.
And so, yeah.
And you submitted some cool stuff to him?
Yeah, I submitted a piece to it. So.
Alright, cool. Just like the newer stuff that we were working on?
Yeah, it's kind of, I call them the centerfold pieces because they're really long.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes like 4 or 5 different images from the same spread, and this one was Belladonna.
Oh, I love Belladonna.
So, and she's by herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Is it weird that I knew who she was?
No, she's really well known.
Okay.
She's one of the ones that's well known. Sasha Gray's another one that I've got a piece of that's well
known.
But
but again, they're not. She's definitely not a classic porn star. She's definitely more.
No.
I don't know. A VHS I stole from my mom had her in it, so that would have been early 2000s from 90s. What, you think I just happened to be this way?
I didn't know that VHSs were still being made in the 2000s.
Well, my mom didn't have a DVD of it. That's all I know.
Yeah.
It was definitely a VHS. And she, and after that I saw her on a Pirates, because I own 2 of the Pirates movies, because I thought they were amazing, because it was like high fucking quality porn, and I was like, porn with CG. So that's where I met her, and fucking Sasha Grey was the first time I ever saw Sasha Grey, was on one of those. But I do love Belladonna. Yeah, and she has like a weird tooth gap.
Yeah, which it works for her though.
Yeah, no, it does. No, she owns it.
More distinct look.
All right. Well, we definitely we made through your painful Iowa years and made it all the way up to Belladonna. That's about that's she lived from Iowa to Belladonna. All right. Anything else you want to nail, or we got it?
Check out my Instagram, I guess.
Yeah.
It's Lamifo Studios. LAMIFO Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, sweet.
Just give you a better idea of what I'm doing.
Yeah. If you've never actually seen her stuff, you should probably look at her stuff, because especially the way we're describing it, you really do have to look at it. It's hard to picture. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me.
Norm's gonna wake up and shut it off, and then we're good. See ya.
Yeah.
And there you guys have it. That was my talk with Laura. If you listen to that whole thing, I probably should have gave you guys a warning that we're gonna do talk about some inappropriate stuff, but I didn't want to give that away. I think it was pretty good though, and I can't wait to talk to her again. Hopefully I do. And there you guys go. This is probably our last podcast of the year. I'm not gonna do the math right now, but yeah, maybe it might be. There might be one right at the end of the year. We'll see. We'll see if we can surprise you guys. And besides that, you have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas. If today's Christmas Eve, if not, it's Christmas Eve. I hope you're hanging out with loved ones, whether that's family or friends or whatever, and you fill your tummy up, give some gifts, and have a beer or however you celebrate. celebrate. I just said the way I celebrate it. All right. See you guys later.